Are you thinking about buying or selling a home, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. We are sponsored by Network Title, Bricks Real Estate, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby, Bell Bank Mortgage, along with James Tolfson, Country Financial, Gray Duck Staging and Design, and Cregan's Construction. I don't think I missed anybody there on the sponsors. Nope. Got them all, I think, there. All right, today we're going to be talking about home selling myths, and there are a lot of them. If you like our shows and you find this interesting, check us out online at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you'll find all of our past shows along with our weekly market updates. We'll definitely be talking about where the market is today because that's one of the big myths that's out there. And if you have any questions for us, real estate related questions or needs, please reach out. Give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. All right, got Jilly Jenkins, Bricks Real Estate. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
And as usual, Chad Preby, Bell Bank. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, well, you know, we've talked about how you're getting your house ready to sell here soon. So hopefully you find some of these tips beneficial as we talk about some of the myths that are out there. I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, our conversation earlier today where you're like, I'm just not even going to trust the photos anymore.
Right.
Well, because of the wide variety of quality of marketing. And actually, I didn't even write that down, but like, all agents are the same. Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
You look at the price per square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's a myth.
Yeah.
You know,
it's interesting being on, you know, when I educate people, my clients, talk to other realtors and just work in the business and now put myself into the hot seat. It's interesting. You know, we talk about pictures tell 1,000 lies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's more for my wife, who's amazing, that when we look at something on the MLS online and it's like, oh my God, this is the one, right? And you get out to the property and it's not the one for many reasons. So
no. Yeah.
Wide angle lenses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wide angle lenses make things look really nice.
Yes. And you know, a cell phone camera from 10 years ago in a room with shades shut, it's going to not look so nice. But at the end of the day, neither of them are an accurate reflection. But what you want to do is make sure that you have the best representation.
For
you know,
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
To show your house in the best light. And I always say, you know, set appropriate expectations. You don't want to oversell because that can actually hurt you. Right? You want it to show true as possible to what the house is.
Right.
So market it as what it truly is as the home. Don't be saying that it's 3-bedroom, but it's actually a 2-bedroom with a room in the basement with no window, non-conforming.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to get people in the house that want to buy that house.
Right.
And you can't smell a picture.
No, you
Oh
can't.
my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and that, you know, that brings up the, you know, a house will sell itself. I don't need to do anything to prepare as a myth. Yeah,
Huge myth.
Not 100% wrong. We talk about, you know, we got our free guidebook. You know, if you're just interested in the real estate market, you want to learn some more, check these out. We got them online, TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. You can go on there. You can under publications, and you can get our free seller's guide on there. And we talk about the fry effect, right? And I'm not going to really go into it, but it's how a little thing like a French fry can screw up a sale, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, a house, you do want to take the time to get it ready because we're talking the difference of tens of thousands of dollars on your sale price.
It's important to work with an agent that knows what is going to be most beneficial and what's not going to be worth the money you put into it. Are you going to get that equity back out for it?
Right.
Good
Big
point.
difference.
Oh, yeah. I remember early on in my career, I had this house down the road and I was doing some door knocking and they ended up hiring somebody else. But that agent's like, yeah, you need to do the deck. You need to redo the kitchen. You need to do this and that in this kind of market. And it's like, no, No, you didn't.
You're not going to get it back.
You're not.
Right.
That agent had dreams of being on HGTV, right? And they're going to get somebody else to foot the bill
Yeah.
on there. So, you want to make sure that you're getting good advice on those things, and that you don't need to. I mean, just jump right into that, right? A lot of another myth. I have to redo my kitchen or have to redo my bath. No.
And we were saying before this too, yeah, you want to present it as best as possible. Kitchens and bathrooms are what sell houses for a lot of instances for buyers, but it's also extremely expensive to renovate kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get all equity back. The most important thing is making sure it is as clean as humanly possible. You have decluttered the home so that people can picture themselves there and it be their environment while they're in that showing, not your environment. Those are the cheapest ways to sell the house.
Yeah. I always say paint, carpet, and general cleanliness.
Yep.
And I don't mean you have to, put down carpet, but the idea is paint floors and clean. Right?
And paint is so cheap.
If you can do those
really
three things,
changes a room.
Yeah, definitely.
And those are the kind of investments that we see a 3 times return on.
Wow.
You put in the new carpet over, the cat pee stained carpet, you're going to get way more because you talk about smells, right? First of all, that doesn't smell good coming into the house.
People don't want to be there. And you're not going to be able to trick anyone with those plug-in
no
air fresheners.
That smells
you are
worse.
Fooling no one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Glade air freshener, nothing against Glade, but when you mix that with cat pee or whatever else you're trying to hide, it is horrible. So
Basement
don't
smells.
do that.
The cigarette smell.
Yep.
All that.
Yep.
So I'm kind of moving on to the market. This is one that it's tough because we get bombarded by information, right? As to where the market is, right?
Stats.
And so if you open up the paper or, watch the news, they'll tell you we're in a great seller's market. Houses are selling extremely fast and in heavy multiple offers.
Right.
And 2.5, 3 months ago, that's absolutely true. Carly, could you put up the showings per week per listing median sale price range? So one of the stats that I like to track is the showings per week average 200 to 400K, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. So how many showings are happening on the average house that's on the market? And we can look back to, the week of March 21st through the 27th, and we can see 10.41 in that price range. That's a really fast-moving market.
Yeah.
That's telling you that, on average, a home should sell in under 2 weeks. Now, people are thinking out there, well, I had a neighbor that sold in a day or a friend who sold in 3 days and multiple offers. Yes, that happens. But there's also houses that sit on the market for day after day because, they didn't do the proper preparation. They didn't do the staging and stuff like that. Right. So you're going to have that average itself out. So we want to set, though, appropriate expectations that we can see that the market is slowing, even factoring in, those houses that maybe are a little more deficient. We can see the trend line dropping. We're 58% slower in showing activity out there.
Than what our peak market is, you're saying?
Than what our peak market was this year.
Yep.
Right?
I think that happened right after Memorial Day.
And we can see here, too, total number of showings this year in comparison to last year. Obviously, last year, the data is all completely wonky, right?
Yep.
But we can see, we peaked out at almost 5,000 showings in that price range at that time frame, and now we're down to 2,900. And we have more homes that are currently on the market, too, so it's getting spread out more. So, my point here with the myth, what's the myth? Well, the myth is that the news has the most up-to-date data as to where the market is, or your friend that just sold has the most up-to-date data, family member, whatever it may be. What you want to make sure you're working with an agent that's being honest with you.
Right.
Because
You
somebody who
need
says,
to-
"Oh, we're in a great seller's market. It's amazing. You're going to have no problems." No, it is slowing down. 58% slower. The days on market are picking back up. The prices received are changing. So
Well, I mean, it is still a seller's market,
It is still
but
a seller's
it's not
market.
being presented to the full reality by your neighbor, by the media. Technically, you need to be working with an agent that knows their stats, knows the stats of the neighborhoods you're looking in, because
Right.
it's different block by block sometimes.
Absolutely. I
good
know we
point.
talked about that, how this sometimes, well, how can it only be that? Because it depends on the neighborhood
it's
you're
at
in.
4.42 right now.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case when I was with a client last weekend. It was like we were at an open house
Right. Yeah.
during showings. I mean, they had 10 showings while I was there, you know? So you need to have an agent that knows the stats of where you're looking as a buyer.
Yeah.
Let's
I
take
like that
a
you said
look
that.
real quick at what kind of drop off that we're seeing, because you mentioned it's still a seller's market. So you can see we peaked out at this 10. This is the market meter on my graph. We peaked out at a 10 and held that for over it was
That's crazy.
basically January until
May.
June, right?
Yeah,
So 5 months there of this just absolutely extreme market speed. But now we're coming down. Carly, I'm going to have you jump ahead too here. And so, yeah, our market meter, we were at this 10, and now we're down to getting into this mid 8s range, which is still a seller's market. But we know based on that showing activity, we're going to be trending into that balanced market probably within another 30 days.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you go back? So before we take a commercial break, this is 2019 through 2020 and to today. And we can see, the market peaked out at its typical time in 2019, having its April, May timeline. And then 2020 is a weird year because obviously with pandemic, goes up and then drops way back and then picks up. And we had a summer market instead of a spring market. All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Hi, I'm Ruben with Structure Tech Home Inspections. Everyone knows you should have a home inspection before you buy a home, but we've heard of home buyers being encouraged to skip the home inspection in this crazy market to make their purchase offer more attractive. Now they're facing tens of thousands of dollars in unexpected repairs. I'm telling you now, don't skip the home inspection. Here at Structure Tech, we can get your home inspected quickly, and we offer a full line of services. Visit us online at structuretech.com to learn more.
Clickbait. There is no such thing as today's rate. Mortgages and mortgage rates are individual to you. Chad Preby and Eric Bloomstrand with Bell Bank Mortgage are here to show you the formula to get your best rate. Once you know this formula, you can mortgage shop with confidence. Find us online at chadpreby.com. That is chadpreby.com. NMLS 1462493, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest financial transactions people make. Before you make your next move, download our free Smart Home Buyer or Smart Seller guides to give you the edge in our real estate market. From deal hunting to knowing the right repairs for maximizing value, these free guides have it all. Check them out and more at brickstwincities.com under publications.
Not every title company is the same. There are many people involved with each real estate transaction, and all of them need to be in the loop or a closing may get delayed. This is why the people at Network Title strive to provide swift scheduling and communication between the buyers, sellers, agents, and lenders. We know moving can be stressful, however, your closing does not need to be. Check us out online at network-title.com.
Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Yeah, if you haven't had the opportunity, check us out online, twincitiesrealestateshow.com. There, you'll even find, we talked about our past shows as to, the videos, but also if aren't able to catch every one of our shows on TV or listening on the radio, we have our podcast. So
Yes.
just type in Twin Cities Real Estate Show into whatever you like. I know you can listen there as you drive around if you find this information valuable. So we kind of ended the last segment talking about what the market's been doing, where the market is at, realistically, right? The reality of the market. And, we basically had our peak last year in July and August, and that's not normal. 2019 was a much more normal year. And what you're seeing here is a graph that's the strength of the market, right? Not sale prices. We'll pull that up on another show, right? Because sale prices, what's so cool about this is this will basically beat sale prices by 2 months. You follow this chart and you know where the sale prices will be in 2 months from that time frame. So we know now with that market meter coming down a bit that, we've had our peak for the year. Yeah. Inventory is coming in at a much higher rate than last year. 2,000 listings in the 13 county metro. Last year was like 1,800 at the same time.
Okay.
So this is helping bring inventory up, obviously, slowing the market down. So be careful if you have agents making promises of tons of multiple offers. Now, does that mean that you're not going to experience it? No, I just had a house I put on the market yesterday. We put it on the market, and I had 5 offers by that evening. So,
Wow.
It can happen with good preparation.
Right.
But there's also, just down the road, a similar style home that's sitting on the market, and it's not selling.
Right.
So it kind of goes back to make sure you're doing the right things to get it ready. But not every house is going to move instantaneously. But you do want to make sure you're trying to do the best that you can to get it ready, and that will help with that.
Right.
But this is not.
Have it be clean and have your agent stage it.
Yeah, this is not the market for. This is not the market for the 20 offers, really, on most places.
Right.
Anymore.
I'm still seeing it, but no, it's definitely going down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of the homes that I showed, maybe 1 or 2 of them this week, there was other parties coming or going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It is
Yeah.
definitely getting a lot quieter. It's great news for buyers out there that have been stressing a bit. But, for sellers, it is slowing. It is still it is still a seller's market. But, another month and a half, we may not be there anymore.
Right.
Probably a lot more balanced as long as the inventory rates keep hitting. So I mentioned a house down the road. This is another myth. Selling myths. My neighbor's home sold, and theirs sold for X, so mine should sell for X. And at the end of the day, your neighbor's house typically isn't a comp.
Yeah.
So what makes up a comparable listing, right? It's a home that is similar style, right? Because a split level doesn't get the same price per square foot as a Rambler or a 2-story or a modified 2-story or a story and a half, right?
I'm learning all this. Yes.
And finished square footage, if you are in the Rambler and your basement's huge and half your square footage is below ground, that changes for appraisal too. The more square footage above ground.
Right. Walkout versus
Exactly.
non-walkout,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, a comp is that similar style. And this is like, well, isn't a house? It's on my street. Well, that would be similar to saying, well, that pickup truck is on the same car lot as that minivan. Does that mean, or that Corvette is on the same car lot as the... I'm actually way behind
Beetle.
Malibu in our
Yeah.
right. That it's
Daewoo.
so
Yeah,
yes,
that
the
didn't
used
last
car
long.
lot. Yes. So that doesn't mean it's gonna be comparable, right? So we're looking at condition, we're looking at style, we're looking at distance.
Number of bedrooms,
yep.
number of bathrooms, what kind
Garage
of
stalls.
what kind of bathrooms are those?
Mm-hmm.
Lot size. Are you getting a double lot? You got a little squeeze in 0.8 lot.
Does it
over
need
there?
a lot of yard work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's
0.08.
just because it's next door, just because it's down the road, just because it's across the street does not make it a comparable. This is again,
Are you by a railroad track?
we have
Yeah.
we have one of our other myths. In a hot market, I don't need an agent. I can find my own comparables. Well, do you understand the bracketed appraisal method and finding the right comparables to figure out exactly where you should price? Because if you don't, you're going to be that house that's sitting on the market for 15 days doing price reductions with cell phone photos that you took, and you're going to be getting a dismal price per square foot.
Yep.
I mean, I love I can sell my own house. Absolutely you can. My dog could sell your house.
Yeah.
It takes zero skill to sell the house, right? Price it low enough.
Yeah.
Get a low enough price on there, somebody's going to buy it. They're going to take advantage of you. But to achieve top dollar, to get it prepped right, to price it right, to know where to market, how to track, right?
Yep.
Unless you're following data like this, it's not going to get you there.
I had a client that closed yesterday, and she liked the for sale by owner next door, called up that for sale by owner first, tried to get a showing set up, was priced way too high. My client passed. That for sale by owner got an agent, listed the house. Because they got an agent, had professional marketing, had staging, had good pictures, and was able to put it out on the MLS. They got more than what she had originally asked for when I talked to her as a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And then she decided she wasn't going to sell and pulled it.
Oh, wow.
So she's my client's neighbor now.
Right.
She just, my client bought the one next door that
Okay.
was marketed.
Funny.
But that's how it works.
Right.
Like, she wasn't going to get that price at how she was marketing as an owner.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
what are the statistics if you have to take your house off the market and then it for maybe because you were priced too high or you didn't have the right approach?
Well, the best way to put it, I get your question. Yeah, what happens if we pull it off, do a price change? The answer I can give you is every day a house spends on the market, it will sell for about 1/10 of 1% less on a price per square foot basis. So what I did is I took a few years worth of sales data and then looked at, based on days on market, what was the price per square foot received in a given neighborhood. So you had a lot to look at. Okay. So you don't want that long time on market. It's going to prevent you from getting the best that you can. You really want to come out of the gate swinging.
Yep.
And I think that's where an agent that knows the data is going to be beneficial. So
I have clients that are like, this house has been sitting for 5 days.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Well, you do start thinking that way, right?
Yeah.
And
5
one
days.
thing too, for sale by owner, you don't have the legality behind you, like your real estate agent's going to provide you the protection, right? If that
somebody looking over,
if that potential buyer has a home inspection and all of a sudden they're picking apart everything and you're sitting there with no representation, you might end up losing big time in the end. Yeah. So
this is one I want to make sure we have a few minutes left here. I really want to touch on, which is the list price to or list price is an accurate reflection of value.
Yeah.
Right.
Not all agents understand how to run comps.
Right.
The list price might not be what it should have been listed at, and it can go either way.
Isn't that the most important thing?
Well, most important thing is finding an agent that knows.
Well,
their
I mean,
stats.
it's
Well, yeah.
well, you got to be careful, right? That underpricing without knowing, like it's fine to go under if that is part of your strategy, right?
To get multiples going,
right? Exactly.
To get an interest.
And to know that you're going to get enough multiples going. Like I had a property that I was very cautious about because I'm like, this neighborhood is not getting the showing rate that I need to get 3 offers. So this house we're going to price on the high side of things because it's our best chance to get that top dollar. Where another house that I just put on, really hot activity at the moment. So we went on the low side and drove the price up drastically.
Knowing you're going to get multiples.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. And this is where coming soon makes a big difference. So, I mean, list price, it can either be a strategy or it can be a mistake. Yeah. And far too often we see it as a mistake, right? And it's not always a seller's fault. It's not always an agent's fault. Sometimes a seller just doesn't necessarily, or an agent, have an understanding of what exactly a market's doing and where to price. Sometimes it's about bracketing. I mentioned a bracket appraisal method. Part of it is, hey, if I'm close to 300,000, let's say, well, I want to price it. Let's say I come up with a value of 290.
Okay.
Well, I want to price it at 300. Why? Because anybody looking up to 300 is going to see it, and anybody looking from 300 on up is going to see it.
Going to see that.
Right? You put it at 299.9, there's a lot of search engines that are not going to show it to buyers that enter in 300.
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
So
Very
now
good.
you're getting quite a few more eyeballs on the property.
Yeah.
But the same is true at 310. If I come up with a value of 310, I'm going to want to price it typically at 300 because I want those eyeballs of everybody looking. Well, why would you want an offer for less? Because one offer is going to drive more. Hey, I got an offer. Okay, they're going to raise their offer.
Right.
That's pricing appropriately. Tracking is going to net you the best. Carly, can I have you throw up the
Very
title
good.
screen real quick? Give our sponsors, they're one shout out here with her second shout out here with the graphics up here. But while you're doing that, using a low commission agent as well can also be problematic just because they don't necessarily, hey, I'm going to save money. Well, the stats don't show that. Low commission companies on a price per square foot basis pull in less. And anybody wants to see that data, I have it. So happy. Make sure you check us out online, TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. Again, our free seller's guide. I mean, we just touched on a few things here today, but tons of great information there on that Twin Cities Real Estate Show and in the guides. We'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
My name is James Tobson with Country Financial. Anyone can sell you insurance. However, is it going to be the insurance you need? When life pops up with its surprises, you want the right coverage. When it comes time to find or renew your policy, give me a call. I would love to review your existing policy and show you what I can do for you. You can email me at james.tobson@countryfinancial.com or give me a call at 651-365-3408.
Not every title company is the same. There are many people involved with each real estate transaction, and all of them need to be in the loop or a closing may get delayed. This is why the people at Network Title strive to provide swift scheduling and communication between the buyers, sellers, agents, and lenders. We know moving can be stressful, however, your closing does not need to be. Check us out online at network-title.com.
People always ask realtors, what is your commission? But what they should be asking is, what is your rate of return? Commissions only vary by a couple of % from agent to agent. However, the price per square foot you get just based on their experience and the quality of marketing they use can vary by 10% or more. At Bricks Real Estate, our agents use the right marketing and have the experience to get you top dollar for your house. See what we can do for you at brickstwincities.com.
Hi, I'm Becca, owner of Grey Duck Staging. With today's home buyers beginning their journey exclusively online, the look and feel of your home matters more than ever. Whether it's a simple in-home consultation, a refresh using your current furniture, or a whole home staging, our goal is always the same: showing your home in the best light and helping you achieve the highest sales price possible. To learn more, visit us at greyduckstaging.com or check us out on Instagram at greyduckstaging.